reading from the article World Cinema, No Sex, No Violence, Just Film. In the top part it has questions. What makes a good film? The plot, the actors, the special effects. Do you see many films that aren't made in Hollywood? If so, where are they from? Well, here's the article. No sex, no violence, just film. Despite its severe Islamic censorship and taboos, Iranian cinema attracts a world cult following, says Jeff Brown. Imagine yourself as a filmmaker in post-revolutionary Iran. Instead of shooting at Universal Studios, the venue for your creative labors is called the Studio of the Voice, and the portrait of the Islamic Revolution of Iran. Perhaps your cameras are out on location in the streets. Your film project has already jumped 3 censorship hurdles imposed by government agencies: synopsis approval, script approval, and cast and crew approval. Now all that is left is to make the film get the government's final thumbs up and be given an exhibition license. But you cannot relax for one moment. Your leading lady, should you have one, must not be a seductive beauty, nor must there be any physical contact between male and female, even if the characters are man and wife or brother and sister. No violence, naturally. Nor can any character burst into song. To the West, it may seem almost inconceivable that great and entertaining films could emerge from such restrictions, all put in place at different times since Iran's Islamic Revolution. Yet each year, a miracle happens. Iran's films are regularly invited to festivals, win prizes, including the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and have become, some people say Cannes, some people say Cannes, and I'll just say Cannes or Cannes, it doesn't matter, and have become a cult among cinema aficionados. To understand this remarkable phenomenon, we must backtrack to the heights of the Islamic Revolution in 1978-1979. 180 cinemas around the country were burnt down during the revolution, testament to the way films had come to be seen as part of the deposed Shah's Western leanings. Filmmakers set out into the new era timidly, afraid of treading on toes and risking punishment. Sticky areas such as religion were best avoided altogether. Women, too, were for a time thought too hot to handle, but children seemed safe and cheap, too. Yet there was much more than expediency involved. Making films about youngsters' growing pains was an ideal way to do your bit for a society rebuilding itself around Muslim values. Visually, such films tend to be as decorous and simple as their characters, far removed from Hollywood's bedlam. And the West loves them for it. When Iranian films first broke through internationally in the late 60s, they seemed just one brand of exotica among many. Now they appear unique. Films on a human scale, they refresh our jaded eyes. Not that all Iranian cinema is classy enough to reach the West cinema festivals and art houses. They make their dross like everyone else, and a chasm sometimes exists between films aimed at local audiences and those obviously prepared to charm outsiders. The best have the potential to please both camps, such as the apple about 2 teenage daughters kept virtual prisoners by their father. And paranoia can still rise up among government bodies. One part of the episode film Tales of Kish was withdrawn from the Fars Film Festival, Iran's international showcase, because the 13-year-old heroine showed too much hair under her scarf. Despite hints at thawing attitudes, an Iranian film that supinely apes Western ways is nowhere in sight. For all the chafing at individual restrictions, that must be a sign of artistic health. That's the first article. If I made any mistakes, sorry about that. Continuing on, this next article that everybody was asked to read is Iran reportedly sentences film actress to 90 lashes. An Iranian court has sentenced an Iranian actress to 1 year in jail and 90 lashes related to her role in an Australian-made film portraying social alienation, artistic repression, and drug use in Iran, according to an Iranian opposition. In an outcome that could have been lifted from the pages of the movie script, My Tehran for Sale, the film's lead actress, oh my God, Marzik Vahama, I have no idea, was arrested in July and received her sentence at the weekend, according to reports quoting Iranian opposition website Kalamak.com. The Sydney Morning Herald reported. In the 2009 film, Vamahar portrays a Tehran, actually the word is Tehran, that's how we say it in English, Tehran actress whose theater work is banned by the authorities and is thus driven to Tehran, I have no idea. Tehran's cultural underground. Ultimately, she contemplates whether to leave Iran for exile abroad. Actually, the United States was involved in a big problem with Iran many years ago, and it was a big problem. And we often heard Tehran. No, it's Tehran. I'm positive it's Tehran. I'm making a mistake here, but I'm positive that's how you say it. Go back to the article. Valmaher often appears with a shaved head and no headscarf in the film, which also explores cultural oppression in Iran and taboos such as drug use, the paper said. Valmaher's, I'm really messing up her name, Valmaher's attorney has reportedly appealed the sentence, which was handed down on Saturday. Technically, she was accused of participating in a film whose shooting did not have the required permits. However, both the film's director and the actress's filmmaker husband, Nasser Tagavi, said the charge is baseless. I have no idea whether I said his name right. The accusations against Marzi have... I'm messing up the name. The accusations against Marcy, definitely is not the name, have no grounds. Granis Musavi, Jesus, the Melbourne-based Iranian-Australian director of the film, said in a statement Tuesday, the AP reported. All the documentation has been provided to the Iranian court to show that permits were in place for the production of the film. Australian Foreign Minister Kevin Rudd also expressed concern about the sentence Tuesday. The Australian government condemns the use of cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment and is deeply concerned by reports that Ms. Marziv Varmahar has been sentenced to 1 year in jail and 90 lashes for her role in an Australian-produced film, a spokesman for Rudd said in a statement, the AP wrote. The Australian government urges Iran to protect the rights of all Iranians and foreign citizens. Iran's Orwellian justice system has provoked past controversies. Last year, for example, Iranian courts approved a death by stoning sentence for Shanika Mohammadi Ashtenini, a woman, Jesus, you know that's not the name, a woman accused of adultery and murder charges. Ashtenini's sentence was stayed, but only after a global outcry from international human rights groups. A moratorium had been declared on stoning in 2002, but the nation's Islamic courts have continued to hand down stoning sentences in accordance with the strict wording of the law. On Tuesday, Iran President Mohammed Ahmadinejad, I know this guy's name, I've seen it on the news, but I can't say it now, reportedly took to his website to criticize a flogging punishment handed down to a student who had criticized him. When high-profile figures freely insult the government, I disapprove that a youth is flogged for insulting me. Mohammed Ahmadinejad wrote at his presidential website, the Associated Press reported. Lashing sentences are not unheard of in the region. Last month, the Saudi king reportedly overturned a lashing sentence handed down to a Saudi woman who had been arrested for driving. Okay, I'm continuing. Okay, I'm going to make the next recording. I'm going to stop it now.